From the depths of government secrecy to the files that were never meant to see the light of day, what happens when the truth finally emerges? Today, we delve into some of the most shocking declassified CIA files. Secrets so dark they feel like fiction, but they're chillingly real. These files expose the lengths to which intelligence agencies will go. And as we go down the list, you'll realize that some secrets were never meant to be told. Or were they? Before we dive into the atrocities the CIA has brought upon the world, I want to thank you for watching. If you enjoy this type of content, consider liking and subscribing, but only if I've earned it by the end of the video. Sound fair? Let's get started. Let's start with one of the stranger entries, Project Acoustic Kitty. No, this isn't a joke. The CIA really spent millions training cats to spy on Soviet diplomats. Their method? Implanting microphones and antennas into the poor felines, turning them into live surveillance tools. I mean, what the hell, right?
The cat that was used for the experiment had to be cut open. Wires were run up to its ear, to its cochlea.
Jesus Christ. The theory was that a cat could inconspicuously wander into sensitive locations and eavesdrop on conversations. In 1967, the first mission was set. The cat was released to listen in on a Soviet conversation in Washington, D.C. Want to know how it went? Well, let's just say the cat didn't make it very far. Because it was immediately hit by a taxi, millions of dollars down the drain. But believe it or not, this wasn't the most bizarre project the CIA pursued. Imagine this. A series of fake terrorist attacks staged by your own government, all to justify a war. Operation Northwoods was a top-secret plan cooked up by the US military in the 1960s. And it wasn't just an idea. It was signed off by the top brass, waiting for approval from the highest office in the land. The plan was simple: stage bombings, fake Cuban attacks, and even orchestrate the hijacking of an American plane. The goal? Convince the public to support a war with Cuba. But here's the chilling part. This wasn't some far-fetched conspiracy theory. The Joint Chiefs of Staff presented it to President Kennedy in 1962. Kennedy refused. But it makes you wonder, how close did we come to war based on lies? And if this plan was considered, what else was being planned behind closed doors? Mind readers? Psychic spies? It sounds absurd, but during the Cold War, the US government believed psychic abilities could give them an edge in the intelligence game. Enter the Stargate project, where they attempted to unlock the power of the human mind to spy on enemies. The CIA spent over 20 years researching remote viewing, where individuals claimed to be able to describe locations and events happening miles away. One psychic claimed he could locate Soviet submarines. Another swore he had detailed visions of enemy bases. Incredibly, some reports suggest they were right.
Mr. Beast, Reese, Mr. Beast.
Sometimes. So why shut it down if it worked? Was it a failure, or did they discover something too dangerous to continue? This is where things take a dark turn. Project MKUltra wasn't just about mind control. It was about pushing the boundaries of human ethics to the breaking point. The CIA experimented on unwitting civilians, soldiers, and even prisoners, dosing them with LSD, putting them through psychological torture and breaking their minds, all to find ways to control them. These experiments took place in hospitals, mental institutions, and prisons across the US, Canada, and beyond. People were left mentally broken. And all of this without their consent. But here's the kicker. In 1973, As public scrutiny over intelligence agencies grew, CIA Director Richard Helms ordered the destruction of all MKUltra files. Only a handful survived, leaving us with questions that may never be answered. How much more did they get away with? What if I told you the news you've been watching wasn't entirely free? Operation Mockingbird was the CIA's attempt to infiltrate major media outlets and spread propaganda, both within the US and abroad. During the Cold War, the agency recruited journalists from outlets like the New York Times, the Washington Post, and CBS to spread stories that supported their agenda. They paid off reporters, planted stories, and even created fake news, long before the term was popularized. Still think the media is giving you the whole story? After World War II, the US secretly brought more than 1,600 German scientists, engineers, and technicians from former Nazi Germany to America under the guise of Operation Paperclip. Several were confirmed to be former members of the Nazi Party. Men who had worked on horrific experiments were given new lives and new jobs in US research facilities. These scientists contributed to America's space program, but at what moral cost? Many of them had been involved in war crimes, and now they were being celebrated as heroes of science. Their dark pasts? Swept under the rug. Is progress worth the price when it's built on the backs of the innocent?
I am delighted to be here, and I'm particularly delighted to be here on this.
Finally, we come to the file that has sparked more conspiracy theories than any other: the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. Thousands of pages of classified documents have been released, revealing new details, but with every answer comes 100 new questions. Was it truly a lone gunman, or were there deeper, more sinister forces at play? We may never know the full truth, but one thing is certain. The CIA's involvement in the cover-up has fueled speculation for decades. And the rest? Well, that's still classified. The declassification of these files has forced us to question everything we thought we knew about our government, our history, and the lengths those in power will go to maintain control. But for every file that's declassified, there are hundreds that remain hidden. What other secrets are they keeping from us? And when the truth finally comes out, will we be ready for it? Stay curious, stay skeptical, because you never know what secrets are still waiting to be uncovered. See you next time. If they haven't found me yet.